this lesson. So here you go. Here is your answers from your homework. The right side. Here are the first 6. For the last one there, you do not need, I'm okay if you have just 528 over 1,000. That's honestly what I expect you to have. Okay? Tom? We don't want a decimal in our fraction. Okay, so make it over 1,000. Just by swooping your decimal one spot to the right on both of them. That's why it's out of 1,000. Okay? Tyson? Yes and no. Okay, if you round it, if it says to round, then yes, that would work. But you can write this out of 1,000. Okay. All right, go ahead and look at the next 6 problems. Again, this 128%, you can just have this, you don't need this extra one here. All right, do you have any questions on those? All right. What topic or which group did you find most challenging? Which one is most challenging for you? Jacob? Fraction 2%. Good. Someone else? Aiden?
At first I thought it was percent fraction because I didn't understand how to use that. Then when I realized it was really easy just to write
Fraction. If I were to give you this decimal 0.19, write that as a fraction. This as a fraction. You may talk with your neighbor. You can turn answers just up to the right-hand side of that homework. Decimal to a fraction. Write those as a fraction. I'm not even going to say because it helps you. Okay, how do you write this first one as a fraction? Max. Good, 19 over 100. Why I said I'm not going to read it? Because if you read the problem correctly, it gives you the answer. That is 0 and 19 hundredths. Whatever place value it is in is the denominator. Whatever the number is the numerator. Right? So number 2, what would your answer be, Clayton?
723 over 1,000.
Perfect. 723 over 1,000. You read this number as 0 and 723 thousandths. That's why we always stress that you read the problems and numbers correctly because it's helpful. All right. Nice job with that. So let's go ahead and convert a fraction to a decimal. Fraction to a decimal. I'm going to give you, we have a test out of 22 points. How many did we get right? Someone shout something out. 17, I heard.
32.
Okay. We also have a test out of 75. What did we, how many did you write?
56. 5. 8.
21. Okay, go ahead and convert these to decimals. If you need to round, please round to the nearest hundredth.
Well, 21 divided by 75. Eventually, calculated. You think I did it? What's your calculator? No.
Okay, who would like to share how we find or convert a fraction to a decimal? Maddie, what'd you do? Good, we take 17 divided by 22. Then you can use your calculator. 17 divided by 22. Number that goes on forever and ever. That rounded to the nearest whole or nearest hundredth is what? Brogan. 0 and 77. What place are this? Hundreds. This is the hundreds. Tens, hundreds. Good? 77 hundredths. Does that answer make sense? Yes. All right. What about 21 over 75? Jacob, what'd you do? Good. And what'd you get? 0.28. All right. That's how you change a fraction to a decimal. Good. Now, the last one people were confused on. Convert a fraction to a percent. We're just going to use what we already have here. A fraction to a percent. When you're given a fraction, find the decimal form. What do you do when you go from decimal to a percent? Tyson. How many times? 2 times. You swoop it over 2 times. 1, 2. What is the percent going to be? Josh. 77%. Okay? If that were a test, 22 questions, you get 17 right. That's an is that a score? Right? Does that answer make sense? It's above the 50%. Okay. So that answer makes sense. Now what about 21 over 75? How do we go from that fraction to a percent? Explain the whole process. Round. Go it over the whole process. You're given the fraction 21 over 75. What are you going to do? Good. You're going to divide and get. Perfect. Then what are you going to do? Good. Swoop the decimal place to the right, which is the same thing as altogether. Multiplying by 100. So that is 28%. Go back. Does your answer make sense? If there was a test with 75 questions, you get 21 of them right. Is that going to be a good score? No. Is this percent a good score on a test? No. Is it below a 50%? Yes. 50% is as well. Okay? Questions? Comments? Concerns about this? All right. If you're able to convert from one of these forms to the other, it's going to be really, really helpful. Okay? All right. You can go ahead and turn that paper over. We're going to go to the back side of that now. What our goals today are going to be are to be able to relate our percents to real-world problems. We'll get to a quick review before that using our equation. But if we can understand this, we'll be able to rate it to a 5. I'm going to give you an example at the end of class when you go out to eat You're going to figure out the tip next time. You're going to do it in your head. Alright? You should never have to use a calculator to find a tip. Or your phones or anything like that. Because I don't know who wants to carry the red calculator out to do it. Okay, you watch it? We'll talk about that in class. Okay? Alright, so that's what our goal is today. We do have a test next week, Wednesday. Alright, on this side of the page now, we are going to talk about a couple of things on the very top of your paper. I want you to write this equation. Part over whole equals percent. Somewhere up on the top of your paper. That is how you figure out percent. Relate it back to a test. The whole is how many questions are on that test. The part is how many you get right. You figure out your percent, you divide them. It's going to give you a decimal, but we can have a percent in decimal form. Everyone good with that? All right. On the other side, I want you to write parts equals percent times whole. These two are equivalent to each other. It's really cool to see how they are equivalent to each other. If we make a T-chart, if the part is missing, I would multiply by the whole, the inverse operation. Multiply by the whole. If I rewrite that, that is part equals the percent times the whole. These are the two equations you will use with percents all the time. For those of you who just type your answer into the calculator by doing one operation, you are using one of these equations. So from now on, you can just type your answer in. I'm showing you the equation, showing you why you're dividing that number by that number. Because of this equation. So I'll need to see you write the equation now. So I'm okay with that. It proves why your answer is right. It makes you understand what answer you're finding, your part of the whole is percent. Talk about which one you're missing. One more thing. What does the word is mean in math? Then equals. So I want you to write is. Then it represents an equal sign. Is an equal sign. What does the word of mean in math? When? It means to multiply. So please put multiply. If you are able to remember those two things, is and of, this equation is going to be really easy. All right, are we ready to try a problem? Yes? All right. The first one, number one, it says 24 is 71% of what? What we're going to do is, this is a word problem. We are going to create an equation by using the words inside of the sentence. We're going to start with 24. You just write right below. Let's give it this. 24. What does is mean? All together. Equal 71%. Right? 71%. Of. What does of mean? Patrick. Multiply. Of what? What? We don't know what is. So we use a variable. I'm going to use x. 24 equals 71% times x. That is, 24 is your part. 71%, and then multiply it to find the whole. Okay, what are we going to do? What time is it? Wait. Teacher. It took 5 minutes in my last class to remember that it was teacher time. I just kept saying the actual time. It was crazy. I was getting very frustrated. You heard me get my voice got louder over here just because. Could you hear it?
No, I was downstairs.
Okay. Alright. Making our T-chart. What are we going to do with both sides? Because our goal is to get x, which is the variable, by itself. What do we need to do? Tyson. Perfect. You should be following along on your paper. We are dividing by 71%. Whatever I do to one side, I must do to the other. And make sure you have the percent symbol. If you do not want to use 71%, there's two other things you could use. What would it be? Brogan. Good, you could use 0.71, or you could use perfect, 71 over 100. All three of those are equivalent to each other. Okay, on your calculator, you should go ahead and enter 24 divided by 71%. What is our answer going to be? Josh. 33 and 80 hundredths. Right? Okay. I can't believe it. Okay? 80 hundredths. That's what x equals. Are we good with that? Question? Tyson? No, because it's around the nearest 100. Okay, you and your neighbor, go ahead and solve question number 6, the one on the right here. Okay, what is 20% of 85 and 1/10? So we are taking that sentence, it's like a word problem, and we're going to create an equation. It starts with the word what. So we use a variable. This time I'll use C. Is, we're going to put a equals 20% of multiply. Thank you, Patrick. And 85 and 1/10. What are we going to do to solve for this? Jacob. All right, do we need a T-chart in this problem? Brogan. Good. We do not need a T-chart in this problem because the variable is by itself. And that's why we always use a T-chart to get our variable by itself. So this one, you don't actually have to use a T-chart. How do we solve for it then? Patrick.
0 and 20 times 85.
Good. So Patrick said 0 and 20 hundredths times 85 and 1/10. That works. Or you can type in 20% button times 85 and 1/10. What does C equal? Tom.
17 and 2 hundredths.
Like this? Do we agree?
Yeah.
All right. You can do that? Now, go ahead and try question number 4. Question number 4. All right, let's go ahead and look up here on the board. Number 4 says, what percent of 77 is 24? What percent? Do we know the percent? No, so we use a, okay. When my variable is a percent, I usually put a percent symbol next to it. It helps me remember that, and you'll realize here in a second why. Of multiplied by 77 is equal 24. So a lot of you, when you see this problem, you just automatically do 24 divided by 77 to get your answer. A lot of you do that with a calculator. That's correct. That is the right answer. Okay? But I need to see it using this. This proves your answer. That makes sense? Okay. It is T-chart time. My x has something connected to it, so I need to get rid of it. So I divide by 77. Inverse operation. What I do to one side, I must do to the other. X, which is a percent, is equal to 24 divided by 77. Ryland, what do we get? 3100? Yeah. Okay, I would agree. So you get 0.3116881. Rounded to nearest hundredth, you should get 0 and 31 hundredths. Now, is our answer 0 and 31 hundredths? Is that our percent? No, that is our decimal form of the percent. So what do we do converting a decimal to a percent? Becca. Good, because it's the same thing as? Good, so x equals 31%. Questions on that? All right, survey. Do you want no homework tonight, or do you want homework tonight?
No homework.
What? No homework? All right, no homework. Okay. We will continue to work on these tomorrow and up until Wednesday because these can be a challenge. But if you remember that of stands for multiplying and is represents equals. You just fine. Teacher, I have one more thing to go over with you. Pass out. Brayden. You gotta speak up a little louder.
I don't understand.
Ryland. Dairy Queen. All right. We're going to use Dairy Queen as our example. Actually, we're not going to use Dairy Queen as our example. Okay, I'm sorry. Now because of something to talk about. A different place, a sit-down restaurant. It is, but it's not. Okay? Lauren. Panera? An even more sit-down restaurant where someone comes and waits on you, or a waiter or waitress. Jason. Firebirds. Ooh, nice restaurant. All right, Firebirds. We're going to go to Firebirds for lunch. Not this place. Firebirds for lunch. It's going to cost us $172.35 to eat lunch at Firebirds. You have you and your family. Firebird is not cheap. Okay. So, what we want to talk about is a tip. From now on, when you go out to eat, I want you to figure out the tip for your family. It's something you can do in your head, and it's good practice with percents. So, let's go back to a tip. What tip do you leave? What percent of tip should you leave? Wait, 20%. Jacob, 7%. Hudson, 5%. Josiah, 6%. 17%. Patrick, 8%. Okay, I'm going to stop here. What is like the norm of tipping at a restaurant is anywhere from 15% to 20%. The reason is your waiters and waitresses make a very minimal amount of money per hour because their income is based off of tips. So if you have someone who's making little per hour, then you only tip them 5%. They're not making much money at all. Okay? So waiters and waitresses live off this 15 to 20%. The better the service, the nicer the place, probably the more that you tip. Okay? All right. We have $172.35 bill. We want to tip 20%. Without using a calculator, you can figure this out, or at least estimate. If I swoop my decimal point one time to the left, I have $17.24. What does that represent of the bill? How much of the bill is that? Josiah, what percent? Emma, that is 10%. We swooped it one spot to the left. This is 100% of the bill. One to the left is 10%. Okay? So $17.24 is 10%. How much would 20% be? What would we do to find 20? Jason? You would multiply it by 2 or add it to itself. 8, 4, 14, $34.48 is how much you should tip if you have a bill of $172.35. So all you do is you swoop it one time to the left, and that's 10%. Okay? Now this. What if we want to tip 15%? How can we figure this out in our head? Josh.
You can divide it by 2 and then add it by the.
Perfect. Take our 10%, $17.24. What is half of that, roughly? Estimate. Rogan. About 9, yeah, a little under 9, 850. Let's say 875 to make this really easy. How much would be tipped out of 15%? 1724, which is 10%, plus 875, which is 5%. You don't need a calculator. That's 24, 25, round. That's 75. $1. 8 plus $1 is 9. 9 plus 17. 27 minus 1, $26. Right? So, please, next time you go out to eat, we're going to talk more about this tomorrow, but if you go out to eat tonight, you need to find a tip. Find 10% by swooping your decimal point one spot to the left. That is a skill you need to learn how to do because you will always eventually go out to eat.